Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for coming to the SAI event, Caribbean activities related to measure environment, climate change, and disasters indicators for policy decision making. I'm delighted to see that so many of you could be with us at this side event today in the Statistical Conference of the Americas of ECLAC. It's a great pleasure to be hosting today. Please allow me the pleasure of introducing our panelists. Joining us here on the session today, we have Mr. Javier Mancero, Chief of the Social Statistics Unit in the Statistics Division in ECLAC, Dr. Barbara Adams, Deputy Program Manager, Regional Statistics, Caricom Secretariat, Mr. Richard Harris, Deputy, I'm sorry, that is not right. Mr. Alberto Malmierca, expert in the environment, statistics, and climate change area of the Statistics Division, ECLAC. We have Ms. Rina Shaw, Chief of Environment Statistics Section in UNSD. Ms. Angeli de Abreu Kiso Singh, Focal Point Environment Statistics and SDGs from the General Bureau of Statistics of Suriname. Also, we have here to Jason Williams, Mr. Jason Williams, Data Manager, Department of Environment, Ministry of Health, and the Environment of Antigua and Barbuda. We have here also to Ms. Abigail Leo. She's from the Central Statistical Officer from St. Lucia. And last but not least, we have here Mr. Francisco Jimenez, Advisor from the Environment Statistics and Climate Change area of the Statistics Division in ECLAC. Welcome, and let me open our session with our colleague, Mr. Mancero. You have the floor.
Thank you, Alda. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. The dear members of the Caribbean community that are with us today, also the distinguished panelists and colleagues from UNSD and statistical organizations, and a particular mention to Dr. Barbara Adams from Caricom Secretariat. Thank you very much for being with us today. I am honored to greet you in this occasion in my role as a coordinator of the Statistical Conference of the Americas, and also on behalf of Rolando Ocampo, the director of the Statistics Division of ECLAC, who couldn't be today with us. This webinar, which is organized as a side event to the 11th meeting of the conference, is about the progress and challenges of environment, climate change, and disaster statistics and indicators in the Caribbean subregion. We will have the opportunity to learn about national experiences on the production of indicators and the progress in the production of a resilience database for the Caribbean subregion. We are very pleased to have today the participation as panelists of Suriname, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Lucia, who will present the recent advances and the situation of the environment statistics and indicators in their country. As you are aware, compared to other regions of the world, Latin America and the Caribbean has historically made a minor contribution to climate change. Nonetheless, the region is highly vulnerable to its negative consequences, particularly the small island developing states of the Caribbean, which are suffering from extreme weather events manifested through warm temperatures, the impact of hurricanes, tropical storms, sea level rise, the damage to biodiversity, and changing precipitation patterns. High quality and timely statistics and indicators are crucial to respond with evidence-based policymaking to the effects of climate change and manage disasters effectively. A strong focus has been placed on measuring greenhouse gas emissions and other drivers of climate change. However, quality indicators in other key areas, such as impact mitigation and adaptation, are essential for addressing climate change in the Caribbean. By nature, the production and use of climate change and disaster statistics depends on a strong interinstitutional collaboration between various entities that produce, disseminate, and use this information. So this is a valuable opportunity for participants to engage in discussions that can unfold in potential future collaboration. I want to thank our panelists in advance for their contributions and for sharing their expertise. And thanks also to our ECLAC team for organizing a comprehensive agenda and insightful activities for this event. We look forward to your contributions and to work together to advance the production of quality climate change and disaster statistics and indicators. So I wish you a very productive event and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mancero. You have the floor, Dr. Adams.
Thank you, Alda. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mancero, for your welcoming. The Caricom Secretariat Regional Statistics Program, in collaboration with international development partners, have built capacity to develop the area of environment statistics in the region, which resulted in the strengthening of data compilation and dissemination of environment data. The production of environment statistics commenced with the United Nations Statistics Division Caricom project during the period 1999 onto 2004 on strengthening capacity in the compilation of social, gender, and environment statistics for conference follow-up, which laid the foundation for developing this area of statistics. Among the outputs from this project was the identification of core environmental statistics and indicators, the first regional publication, Caricom Environment in Figures, with some countries producing national environment statistics compendia. The project was followed by the development of a program on environment statistics to sustain the production and dissemination of this area of statistics. Despite challenges such as the small size of the national statistical offices, limited human and financial resources, the absence of dedicated staff, and uncoordinated national statistical systems that negatively impact the availability of administrative data, a few countries have methodically been able to compile these statistics and produce and disseminate publications, namely Jamaica and Bermuda with 12 and more publications, Belize, Dominica, Suriname around 5 and more publications, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos Islands, Barbados, Grenada, Montserrat, Anguilla is forthcoming with 1 or 2 and more publications. Jamaica also has a publication on climate change statistics. At the regional level, 4 regional publications have been produced in the series Caricom Environment in Figures, and Caricom was also able to produce and disseminate the first regional climate change statistics publication in 2020, using an innovative approach by building on the data compiled in environment statistics. More recently, at the 46th meeting of the Standing Committee of Caribbean Statisticians, member states called upon the Caricom Secretariat to treat with disaster statistics as a new area of statistics in Caricom, similar to the attention given to climate change statistics. Over the years, the Secretariat, either separately or in collaboration with a number of international development partners, have provided support through in-country technical assistance, regional face-to-face workshops, webinars, and the functioning of a technical working group to improve this area of statistics. These international development partners include the UNSD, the European Union under the European Development Fund, the World Bank, and more recently, the government of Italy through the Italian National Institute of Statistics that hosted webinars in this area, with the webinar forthcoming on climate change statistics, and the Inter-American Development Bank that supported the development of an integrated system of administrative registers, the ISAR. While there are still a number of data gaps, as well as few countries that are yet to produce publications on environment statistics, given the numerous challenges that are faced by Caricom countries in their efforts to produce and disseminate statistics, it can be said that the region has made some significant inroads in this relatively new area of statistics. In addition, in light of the environmental, climate change, and natural disaster issues that Caricom countries face, as small island developing states, the Caricom Secretariat will continue to support the efforts by countries to produce statistics on environment, climate change, and disasters to mitigate the impact of these issues that can lead to sustainable development. Central to all these efforts is the Caricom Regional Strategy for the Development of Statistics, the RSDS, which is the strategic roadmap for statistical development for the period 2019 until 2030. Specifically, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with the 17 goals, 169 targets, and 230 indicators is a critical driver of the RSDS, the Regional Strategy for the Development of Statistics, that will drive the production and dissemination of statistics in this area. On behalf of the director and the staff of the Regional Statistics Program, I thank you. Over to you, Alda.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adams. For sure, it is a pleasure to always have Caricom with us, join us. I would like all of you to turn on your cameras so we can have quickly a group photo with our authorities, if you don't mind. This is a quick reaction. Johnny, ¿podrías por favor sacar una foto rápidamente de todos nosotros que están aprendiendo la cámara? ¿Me avisas? ¿Nos avisas, Johnny? Ok, yo la tomé en caso de que él no la haya tomado. Thank you very much. Now, let me invite to our first presentation overview on activities related to measuring climate change and disasters in the Caribbean region by Mr. Malmierka. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the introduction, and good afternoon, dear friends and colleagues. I need support from Johnny to put my presentation. Okay, thank you. En modo presentación, por favor. Perfecto, muchísimas gracias. Well, in this brief presentation, I will try to explain the situation of the Caribbean subregion on climate change and disaster-related statistics, some challenges that we face, and the ECLAC's work and recommendation. And I also want to comment you about a new project that we are implementing for the Caribbean seats, focused on relevant indicators of climate change and disaster for the evidence-based policies. Siguiente, por favor. Okay. Yes, as you already know, the demand for climate change-related data, especially regarding environmental aspect, is greater than supply. We have three global frameworks, among others, that confirm this point: the SDG targets and goals, the Sendai framework, and Paris 2015 Agreement on Climate Change. There is an ever-growing demand for these metrics, both from national and international agreements. We have here in our region the example of ESCASU agreement, that is the first environmental treaty in our region to promote public participation and access to justice in environmental matters, and to promote data transparency. It's important to mention that one of the three pillars of sustainable development, the newer and weakest, is monitoring, measuring environment, climate change, and disaster dynamic. Here I bring an idea, or I want to share an idea, or the same idea that our executive secretary exposed yesterday in the opening. That is, what is not measured cannot be properly managed or solved, and we need to measure progress towards sustainable development. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve the goals or our goals. Next one. Siguiente, por favor. Okay. Climate change poses considerable challenges to statistical metrics and institutional works, both for member states and UN entities. We can find insufficient or irregular collection of environmental, climate change, and disaster data within national statistical system. We we also face a need for institutionalization and regular budget allocation in all national relevant institutions, strengthen the interagency technical capacity and common languages, and promote statistical cooperation among all relevant institutions. Next, please. Next, please. No. The one before. I see. Next. Yeah, well, this slide I see in black, but okay. I believe is the demand-driven institutional capacity building with the map. Yes. Is this one? Okay. Well, as ECLAC, we have been carrying out different activities related to climate change and disaster statistics, focused on the demand-driven interinstitutional capacity building to LAC country. As you can see, I can't, but as you can see, we have covered almost all our region in terms of technical capacity building, including national and regional workshops and technical assistance, all this related to environment, statistics, climate change, and disaster, as well as environmental and ecosystems accounts. Next one, please. Yes, this one I can see. Okay. Other activities carried out by ECLAC are methodological development, production of key regional environmental statistics, climate change and disaster indicators. Also, we are working hard to implement at the country level in our region global frameworks to strengthen geospatial information management and the integration with the statistics. In addition, ECLAC is a pioneer in the field of disaster assessment and in the development and dissemination of damages and losses assessment, the DALA methodology, from many years already, and which is something so relevant and important for our region, especially the Caribbean subregion, which is one of the most affected by hazardous events and disasters. Some of them associated with climate change. I should mention that from ECLAC, we are trying to cover all the relevant issues related to climate change and disasters. Próxima, siguiente. Okay, thank you. Here, just a quick picture of the situation in reference to climate change in our region. I need to point out that depending on the country, the situation may be different. But in general, I must say that we find more available data when we focus on drivers, evidence, and impacts, but much less when we talk about mitigation and adaptation. Obviously, we can get some information and indicator from vulnerability areas using the household surveys or other data sources, but this is more from social dimension and than an environmental dimension. Next one, please. Yes, here I just want to show you very quickly how the global concentration of carbon dioxide officially passed the symbolic 400 parts per million mark, equal to the point of no return, aka better known as a carbon threshold. You can see in the bullet between the both red arrows. So it's important to make a change in our current production patterns. Next one, please. Okay, instead for Latin America and the Caribbean, that is an asymmetrical position in relation to climate change. The region has made a small contribution to climate change, as you can see in both blue lines. I mean, for Caribbean, as you see, it's almost zero, so it's historical, the small contribution. So just note that this indicator has two axes because the levels are different for our region and the rest of the world, and we can observe this better in the pie chart that where we show that the Caribbean only meets 0.1 and Latin America 6.6 percent of global greenhouse gases emissions. But yeah, we all know it's highly vulnerable to its effect, the Caribbean, and with this small contribution, but it's a huge difference between emission and the impacts and the damages and losses from this impact of the hazardous event and disaster for the Caribbean. Next, please. Yeah. Here we can observe by subregion through statistical data the increase in the average annual temperature for the period 1961-2019, and the green line is the Caribbean and is usually always above Latin America, is South America and Central America and Mexico, which mean higher average annual temperatures. If this trend continues and is consistent with the global warming, and we can understand that, this will cause a significant economic cost, not to mention the loss of biodiversity that we will suffer, or we could suffer. So, like I said before, it's necessary to make a change in our consumer patterns, production patterns. Next, please. Okay, and here I bring two indicators related to hazardous event and disaster for occurrence and impacts. Clearly, for the first one is only occurrence, and it can be observed for this period of 1990 to 2020. For the Caribbean subregion, that the occurrence of the most repeated events is meteorological, that usually is storms, and hydrological, that usually are floods. And the second figure is important to mention that although the amount of direct affected person has increased over time in our region and is the blue bars, the good news is that the number of human deaths has decreased considerably in the past decade, perhaps as a result of disaster risk reduction programs at national levels. That is the brown bars. Yes, next one, please. Okay, here I just want to show you the economic cost of disaster. It's important to point out that for Latin America and the Caribbean, in the left side of the slide, more than the 70% of all damages and economic costs, economic losses correspond to climate change and related disaster. But these damages and losses are only part of just part of the story. At most disaster report submitted to this source, that is the CRED, the Emerging Event Database, only the 63% are report with the damages and losses information. So if we see that in the right side of the slide, we can see that for the Caribbean, 90% of all damages and losses correspond to climate change and related disasters. So one of the exceptional features of the Caribbean is that the disaster may engulf an entire country if we are talking about some small items. Next one, please.
Mr. Malmerca, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you. I will try to finish. That's why we designed this project and to enhance the climate change and disaster risk reduction statistical and institutional capacity for better mitigation and adaptation in the Caribbean region, a sub-region, following with the guideline from UN ECLAC Caribbean First Strategy. We also want to produce a georeference resilient database of the occurrence and impact of hazardous events and disaster in the Caribbean seas to help the country to respond to the disaster occurrence. I mean, you will see this subject for my colleague Francisco in this presentation. He will share the idea of the expected product and the advances so far. Okay, next, please. Okay, to conclude, just to point out some recommendations and main challenges. We need to produce regional climate change indicators focusing on impact and adaptation, and also on environmental health, impact on agriculture and tourism, among others. Yes, we need to build a list of regional relevant indicators. No. Before. Regresa? Yes. Okay. We need to build a list of regional relevant indicators for climate change reporting, keeping in mind perhaps the draft of global set of climate change statistics and indicator. We will see this relevance of this topic in a few minutes with the presentation of my colleague Rina. And we need also a best use of geospatial data. So we are taking the necessary steps to do so. We are trying to step in firmly, but we still need to develop and implement a lot, as you can see in the main challenges. I will not read it, but yes. Finally, I just want to share with you the products. Now you can change. Puedes cambiar ahora, Johnny. And yes, I remain attentive to any questions or comments. And thank you very much, Alda. Back to you. And I'm sorry if I take a few minutes more than the. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Manmiarca. The second presentation is Global Set of Climate Change Statistics and Indicators. Ms. Shah, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Alda. Thank you very much to ECLAC for inviting, and to Alberto, of course, for inviting us to present in your side event. I'm just getting my presentation. Please tell me if you see the screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. I know I don't have too much time, so I will try to highlight the main points. There's a lot of slides, but you can always consult them at your own leisure later. So just to give a little bit of background of the work on climate change at the global level. So the main points here are the mandate that we received at the 47th session of the Statistical Commission to develop a global set. And then at the 49th session, we were asked by the Statistical Commission to work closely with the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to strengthen the link between statistics and policy. And we've done a lot of different activities, including a pilot survey, and then this year a global consultation, which I will speak to for most of the presentation. This is just, again, the linkages to the Commission reports. All the information is available. This is the mandate from the 47th session to develop the set. This is the mandate from the 49th session to work in addition to the set, but to also link the statistics and policy better. Then this year in 2021, we had an information report. Because of COVID, we delayed our full global consultation, etc. But this gives an update of the work to the present time in March this year. Then to respond to the Commission about linking better statistics and policy, we've been doing a lot of work in collaboration with UNFCCC, but also, for example, with the regional hub in Grenada. Actually, we talked with Grenada yesterday, and there is a the Caribbean regional hub of UNFCCC. I forgot the exact name, but it's based there. So we also work, very closely with them. So we've had different kinds of events together. I'm not going to list them all, but the most recent ones were these online information sessions that we organized for the global consultation back in June and July, with excellent support from the regional commissions, and in this case from ECLAC, especially the Spanish countries. And then we also had some webinars with UNFCCC, and there was one for Latin America and the Caribbean, the regional one, that took place in August this year. So this is the global set itself and some of the background to it. I would say that we have relied on the IPCC framework and the framework for the development of environment statistics to structure the global set. And we have included the relevant articles of the Paris Agreement, the SDG, and the Sendai framework indicators to also make this very close reference system. The history is long, so I'm not going to go into detail, and some of you may already know it, but we really took a bottom-up approach. We reviewed indicator statistics a few years ago from over 130 countries to try to see what was most commonly repeated in terms of indicator statistics from the various countries. So we then conducted the, global consultation. Oh, my slides are not moving. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm sorry. So the main output will be a comprehensive statistical framework with statistics, indicators, and metadata for countries to prepare their own sets of climate change statistics and indicators according to their own concerns, priorities, and resources. So this is not like the SDG framework in the sense that it is mandatory to compile the indicators, but is more like a guidance or reference or something for countries to start with. So it provides a scope and coverage to what is considered climate change, and also can be used as a checklist to see what a country already may have. And it will support the reporting requirements under the Enhanced Transparency Framework and the global stocktake of the Paris Agreement, as well as Goal 13 indicators of the SDGs. So the consultation was broken down into two parts. Part one was the institutional dimension that was sent to countries and agencies, and part two was the draft set itself with the metadata. This gives a list of countries that responded, and I will show you a map here to give you a sense of the coverage. We received a response from 86 countries, and we are very, very grateful to all the countries who contributed. For the Latin American Caribbean region, we have broken this down so you can see for your own region. And then in the Caribbean specifically, we received responses from 5 of the countries which are listed. And in addition, 2 countries also acknowledged, but they could not complete the consultation in time. So these are the 5 countries who responded, and this second part of the presentation will really be highlighting some of the results that we received, which I think will be interesting for the whole region. So I'm not going to talk about all the questions. I picked up a few, but as I said, the rest are in the slides. So one of the questions was whether there's a national policy or strategy related to climate change. So all of the 5 said yes, and these are the mentions. So that's foundation, in terms of the policy side to address climate change. We asked about whether there's a department or unit in an NSO, and again, 4 out of 5 said yes, which is also very good because this is a growing field. Environment and climate change statistics is increasing in its importance in an NSO, and it is good to see that there is a unit, that is responsible. We skip to section D here, where we asked whether the NSO is involved in the preparation of the country's GHG inventory, or as part of the reporting obligations of the UNFCCC. And 3 out of the 5 said yes. And the text in black is basically the global responses, and then I should have said that before. And what's in blue is just selected from the Caribbean. So we want to give you a full spectrum here. So many NSOs said they provide source data, and sometimes they're involved in the compilation or in the training. I know from Suriname, they've been very much involved with some of the training too. So all this is increasing. So it's all very, positive. There was a question about whether the NSO is involved in the preparation of the new BTRs, and I think 2 said yes. And I think generally, a lot of countries said no. You can see in red is the global response, and I think this is because they don't really know yet what is expected in the BTR. So probably that will be change over time as well. A question about what data could not be met from the NSO, and the largest you can see was waste. This is the global response, and in the blue is some of the responses from the Caribbean, which refer to more about the population and income level and agricultural production. Information coming from surveys and censuses. So this is very interesting as well, because As you can see, very few countries have developed any kind of survey specific to environmental climate change in general. And then in the Caribbean, there was one country that says yes, that's the one in blue out of the global response. But I just like to make a comment here that we do have a couple of countries now in the world that we're aware of. There's Bangladesh and Nepal that have actually developed climate change impact surveys, very specialized. And in terms of the census, we know Tanzania is planning to include questions in their census next year. And I think Suriname may be considering doing something like that. It's very difficult to do that. We know it's expensive exercise, but I think it's something so important that we really recommend countries to try to consider this in the future. In terms of dissemination, we know that Jamaica was actually the first country, as far as we know, the first NSO in the whole world to produce a climate change statistics report. Tanzania followed last year, and I think Suriname is planning one next year. And again, this is just in terms of physical reports from an NSO, but there's many other data that are published online in other yearbooks, etc. We asked whether the NSO collaborates with the focal point, and in here, 4 Caribbean countries, as you can see in blue, have said that they do. In the global context, a lot of them are also collaborating, which is, again, a very good step in the right direction. About the committees, we see that there is one Caribbean country that said they actually have a committee, and we find that that's very important to take the work forward, because that kind of brings everybody together. And whether it includes climate change, one of the countries said yes, which is the same country. So finally, I've got just 2 more slides. I'm trying to keep within time. So for part 2 now, the Excel file, which contains a list itself, countries recognize the importance of the set. We received some inputs from countries regarding the assessment of the relevance, soundness, and data availability. And we found that it was felt that based on the results, the list was overall quite robust. So very few changes are actually going to have been made. There was a few suggestions for new indicators, and all these information was discussed in a recent meeting of the expert group last month. And basically, I would talk a little bit on capacity development. The last physical meeting that UNSD and Caricom organized together, and also ECLAC and UNFCCC participated, was in 2019 in Grenada. It was a regional workshop, and then we also had a national workshop in Grenada in 2019. And we are very happy to collaborate with ECLAC and Caricom on this development account project in the region. And with regard to the global set, it's being finalized as we speak today with the Commission report, and we are submitting it to the 53rd session of the Statistical Commission in March 2022 for adoption. We're also continuing to work with UNFCCC to strengthen the relationship between NSOs and authorities reporting climate change information. And finally, some general recommendations. So some countries from this region did review the global set and participate in the consultation. We ask and recommend you to continue to work on it, engaging all stakeholders, and hopefully when the list is adopted in March, then it can really go into implementation at a larger scale. And we encourage you, if you don't have an interagency working group, primary climate change statistics, to try to establish one to facilitate data coordination reporting. And if you develop any regional or national sets, again, to try to harmonize at all levels and seek support for capacity development through different types of funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Now we are going to have the third presentation. Is a Suriname experience. I'm sorry, hold on, please. Okay, Suriname experience with data collection of environment, climate change, and disaster statistics and indicators. Ms. De Abreu Kiswen Singh, you have the floor.
Thank you, Alda. I'm going to share my screen now. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Now we can see it.
Okay. So, hi everybody. Today I'm going to talk about Suriname's experience with data collection, environment, data collection on environment, climate change, and disaster statistics.
I'm sorry, it's not in
Yes.
presentation mode. If you would like to put it in presentation mode, it's better.
Oh, I put it in presentation mode, but it's not showing.
Hold on, please.
Yeah.
No, it's not there, but then no worries. Just can keep it. We can see it.
Okay, sorry. Can you see that I'm on page 2?
Yes, we can see that.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to talk about the experience we have with environment statistics, the data collection and compilation process, linkages between the publication and the different frameworks, the strengths and advantages, the weaknesses and challenges, and of course, the plans and the way forward. So GPS had produced 9 environment statistics publications. Then these publications also contain many climate change and disasters indicator and statistics. Our next publication is planned for 2022, so next year. During the global consultation on climate change statistics, Suriname, or at least the environment statistics publication, contains circa 46% of data. You will see that in the table in the next slide. Our publication is published biannually in even years and is available on the GBS website and is also available on the UNSC website. It takes like 1 whole year for the compilation of the publication. And for the publication, we used 4 guidelines, frameworks, the Caricom core set, where we have circa 69% data available. We use the UNSD FDES framework, where we have about 52% data available. We use the SDG framework, where from the 84 environmental related SDGs, we have about 37% data available. And as of this year, we will also use the global set of climate change statistics and indicators. And we have about circa 46 indicators available. Here is there is like a flow of how the data collection starts until the publication. So in January, February, we sent the data request, official data request letters to about 50 stakeholders. Then in between March and August, the data is, the process goes on where the data is received, and also preparation is made for the zero draft publication. Then normally we have a big workshop, but because of COVID, this year we had an online workshop. And this was on the 12th, the 18th, and the 24th of August. Ms. Shah was also part of this workshop. And then between
we are in still, yes, we still are in the second slide. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know what's happening.
Second slide, right?
Now we have to be in the 4th slide. Data
okay,
collection.
now we can see the 4th. Yes, you have to do it manually. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it manually. I think there's something. Sorry, you want me to start over?
No, please keep going. We have here.
So I spoke about how we send the letters in January, February, March, August. We create the zero draft publication. And on the 12th, the 18th, and the 21st of August, we had our online workshop. And then from the 21st August until September, we sent second request letters, because most of the times at a workshop, the stakeholders will tell us, you could make contact with Mr. A or Mr. B for certain indicators where we have data gaps. So this workshop really helps to tackle the data gap situation. So we sent letters again, and we also sent letters to the stakeholders that already sent us data to verify if the data they send is correct. When all this happens between October and November, we analyze the verified data. We screen the publication in 2 languages, in Dutch and English, work on the layout, and then we start preparing for the launch. And in December 2020, then the launch takes place. So it takes like 1 whole year, and mind you, it's only 1 person, only me. So it's a lot of work, and that's why we are not able to do it every year. Okay. So here in short, I want to show you guys the linkage between the publication data we have and the frameworks of the FDS and the global set. I'm not going to go through it, you guys can see yourself, but as you can see here, circa 46.3% of the climate change and the FDS of the climate change statistics and indicators is available in our environment statistic publication. So that's why next year we are also planning, next to the normal environment publication, we are also planning to launch in a climate change report. Okay. What are the strengths and advantages? There's a good collaboration between GBS and the environment statistics stakeholders. The SMIN, the Suriname Environmental Information Network that was set up in 2017, is now also part of the Suriname Environmental Act. From 2002 until 2012, Suriname used to get funding from the Conservation International Suriname NGO to be able to host the workshop. But from 2014 to 2020, the UNDP is providing the funding and they will continue to support us. They provide funding for the workshop and also for the launch. And what's also special this year, in 2020, due to COVID, they also funded us with a new computer, 4 webcams, and they paid for the Zoom license for us. And they also provided us with hand sanitation and masks. So that also helped. What I want to add is that these workshops really help with the data collection process. They let the stakeholders know of the data that we need. And it also helps with a good collaboration between the GBS and the stakeholders. Suriname is also part of the EGS and participated in October in the 8th EGS. Suriname is also part of the Caricom Technical Working Group on Environmental Statistics and on the SDGs. And a lot of technical assistance and training was received through participation in various national, regional, like Caricom and ECLAC, and international, UNSD, UNFCCC, FAO, climate change and disaster workshops and meetings. So I participated in the first expert forum for producers and users in June 2021. Like what was already mentioned, in July 2021, the GBS in collaboration with ECLAC hosted a 3-day virtual workshop on the project on strengthening capacity on climate change and disaster statistics. This workshop really helped Suriname to be able to complete the global consultation. And in August, I also participated in a UNFCCC regional webinar, where together with the ministry responsible for the climate change policy, GBS presented and talked about their challenges and advantages. Weaknesses. Since March 2020 COVID-19, and it's still a weakness now, there are still many data gaps, especially for some of the environment-related SDGs, the ones that are very new to us. Data collection is time-consuming. Stakeholders need to be reminded constantly via email or phone, or even through personal face-to-face visits. This got even worse with COVID-19. The GBS relies a lot on administrative data, which can result in lower data quality or even no data for some years, and due to staff turnover, etc. And there's also a lack of metadata for the data that is collected. Some of the national data is not processed in the required format and are not disaggregated and are out of date. So lack of proper disaggregation really is an issue, especially with the SDG demand. And of course, this one, due to lack of financial and human resources, specialized.
We stop hearing you. Anjali? I think that we lost her with the connection. Hello? Anjali, we can.
Yeah.
We stopped hearing you because of the internet, but now you can keep going. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
And you have one minute left. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I only have one slide. It's okay. We are now in the preparation phase of the third Suriname National Communication Report. GBS will try to collect more climate change and disasters data in the 2020 publication. We will try to publish our first climate change statistics report. And we are also in the phase of launching next year our climate information knowledge database. And we keep We will keep participating in national, regional, and international trainings. So what I want to say is, without better environment statistics and indicators, the environment will be to some extent out of sight, out of mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Anjali. Now we are going to have the fourth presentation is environmental data and information supporting evidence-based policies. Mr. Jason Williams and Ms. Tracelyn Joseph, you have the floor. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Alda. And good afternoon to my colleagues. I'm putting on my camera for a minute just to introduce myself. As Alda mentioned, my name is Jason Williams. I'm the data manager and the head of the Monitoring, Evaluation, and Data Management Unit here at the Department of Environment in Antigua and Barbuda. And I'll be your co-presenter for today. I'm also presenting with my colleague, Tracelyn Joseph. I'll allow her to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tracelyn Joseph, Senior Statistician at the Statistics Division in Antigua and Barbuda.
Great. Great. Thank you, Tracelyn. So can you see my screen?
Yes, not in presentation mode, but yes, we can see it. Now it's in presentation. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so this is the outline for our presentation this morning. I'm going to give a brief overview of the Department of Environment. I'll pass over to my colleague who will speak a bit about the Statistics Division. Then we will speak about the environmental data and information and the systems and databases that we are creating here in Antigua and Barbuda. And finally, what's one slide on the environmental information systems informing policies. Okay, good. So in 2019, the Environmental Protection and Management Act was passed, establishing the Department of Environment. Prior to that, we were known as the Environment Division. Now, some of the functions that the Department of Environment has is coordinating the development and implementation of governmental sustainable development, climate change, environment and natural resource management policies and activities. The DOE is also the national focal point for the Rio Conventions. And we are also charged with establishing a sustainable funding mechanism for environmental management. And we have since then created what is known as the Sustainable Island Resource Framework Fund, or the SURF Fund, which provides funding to residents to help improve their properties, make them more resilient. So we provide low interest loans and grants to residents as well as community groups to help them, as I mentioned, make their areas and properties more resilient. So I have highlighted on the screen one of our functions that I consider very important is gathering, analyzing, publishing, and disseminating environmental data and information. So I'll hand over to Tracelyn now.
For us at the Statistics Division, our mission statement is for the Statistics Division that exists to produce quality official statistics by coordinating and engaging a national statistical system of users, producers, and suppliers of data within a statistical development process defined by professionalism, integrity, transparency, accountability, and advocacy. Next slide, Jason. Yes, our function is to collect, compile, analyze, abstract, and publish statistical information relative to the commercial, industrial, social, economic, and general activities and conditions of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. We also collaborate with all departments of government. We have a very good working relationship with the Department of Environment and with other stakeholders as well, local authorities in the collection, compilation, and publication of statistical records using administrative data. We also conduct population and housing censuses and various surveys such as the labor force survey. And we also organize a coordinated scheme of social and economic statistics and intelligence through the National Statistical System. Now, we are all data users, a part of the National Statistical System. And one of our upcoming activity is UN ECLAC webinar in collaboration with the Department of Environment and the Statistics Division workshop that we have planned for the 6th, 7th, the 3rd, the 6th and 7th of December 2021, where we'll be engaging various stakeholders with 5 of the climate change indicators that we have chosen for Antigua and Barbuda. Back over to you, Jason.
Thank you, Tracelyn. I want to speak a bit about the unit within the Department of Environment that manages the environmental information systems. So that's the Monitoring, Evaluation, and Data Management Unit. We have programs and projects where we implement, whereby we are tasked with seeking funding to develop specific projects to develop these environmental information systems. We also have some ongoing programs that are embedded in the DOE's work programs, and those are things that we implement on a day-to-day basis. We do field work, we use geographic information systems to manage spatial data. We manage an environmental statistics database in collaboration with the Statistics Division. And I'll speak much more about this on the other slides where we speak about the information systems. I just want to stress and underscore the fact that we work very, very closely with the National Statistics Division, and they provide us with a lot of support, and we do the same. This presentation is focused a lot on environmental information. I just want to highlight that within that, we consider the climate change information and data, as well as the disaster-related information and data. So these systems that we're building are scalable, whereby they'll be able to manage these different types of data. So the first environmental information system that I want to speak about is our MRV system. So we are the focal point for the Rio Conventions, as I mentioned before, specifically the UNFCCC, and we are tasked with developing an MRV system whereby we are tracking different outcomes, is identifying different indicators and targets, and we monitor this over time. And the MRV system that we're developing will be something that is accessible to the public. So we are engaged right now with a consultant who's developing an online portal where the MRV system will reside, and persons will be able to go on and access data on climate change related data. So mitigation, adaptation, loss and damage, and others. I want to speak next about our National Environmental Data and Information System, or NIS. So you can see the URL there. I'm certain the slides will be provided to the participants, so you'll have an opportunity to access the site. So the site is live now, and it was launched a couple months ago. So what this system does is it helps to collate data on the Rio Conventions. And again, this system is scalable, whereby you're able to add additional MEAs. So initially we start with the UNFCCC, the UNCBD, and the UNCCD, whereby we've identified several indicators under each one of these conventions, and we populate it with data relevant to those indicators, right? So again, it's scalable in that if we want to add another MEA at some point, for example, the Sendai framework, we can add that to this platform and develop indicators for that specific indicators and other MEAs as well. I want to speak next about our natural resources inventory. Again, this site is live. The URL is there. So this is in fulfillment of the Environmental Protection and Management Act, where the Department of Environment is tasked with developing a platform where the public can go and get access to information relating to the environment and relating to natural resources. So this platform is a geospatial platform whereby you'll be able to go on and get access to data files in the format of shape files. For example, you want to know, for example, where the protected areas in Antigua are located. You'll be able to go on the site and click a few buttons and create a map showing your protected areas, showing your different ecosystems, and so forth. So it also has the ability to upload different documents, and yeah, it's available to the public. Next is our environment statistics database. This is something that we work very closely with our statistics division. So the way it is structured is that we have different thematic areas, and under each thematic area, we have a list of indicators as well. And this, unfortunately, is not online as yet, but it's something that we are looking towards to hopefully bring this system online. We have different sectors, for example, health, energy, water, and others. Next is our climate risk maps visualization tool. So this is something that was created under a national adaptation plan project. So this is a plan that was created as a requirement for the UNFCCC. So this map is visual, so whereby you'll be able to go on the platform and see the different data that resides on it. So for example, what we have on the screen here is hurricane wind and surge average annual loss over a time period. So what we did was we used climate change projections along with other national adaptation data to develop these climate risk maps. So you'll see for 2020, 2030, 2040, what the projected losses would be for the different areas of Antigua based on the different sectors that you're looking at. This has not been launched as yet. It's online, but we are planning on launching it a little bit later on. And finally, our NDC web dashboard, which again will be launched later on, hopefully first quarter next year. This is a tool that assists us in tracking our nationally determined contribution targets. Yeah,
Jason,
I will stop there.
You have 1 minute left.
Okay, we're getting to the end, Alda. I'm handing over to Tracelyn now.
Yes, and for us at the Statistics Division, for Caribbean Statistics Day, which was the 15th of October, we will launch our website, which is prettier, more user-friendly, easier to manipulate. And this is our new look at the website, and we can be found at, the URL is here, statistics.gov.ag. And we have the different tabs where you can click on them and you'll find what you want. We have the About Us page and the Contact Us page. So you can contact us there. And below here, you can see our population projection, the CPI inflation, air visitor arrivals. These are some of the features that we have on our site. So please visit us at statistics.gov.ag, and you can really take the time out to peruse our site. And you can provide feedback to us as well, where we welcome that.
Thank you, Tracy. I think this is our final slide, Alda. It's just to underscore the fact that in order to develop policies and plans, we need accurate, up-to-date, reliable data. And that's something that the Department of Environment, as well as the Statistics Division, are striving to achieve, to ensure that the data that we collect is reliable, accurate, and publicly available to the public. This is a list of policies and plans that are developed based on data. And thank you. Back over to you, Alda.
Thank you very much, Jason. We have one comment, Jennifer. Jennifer, would you please wait for a little bit more so we can give you the floor when we have the question and answer session? So we can finish the presentation. Please confirm. And please, thank you very much. Okay, so let's keep going with the agenda. And the fifth presentation is National Policies and Plans where environment, climate change, and disaster statistical indicators are required. Ms. Abigail Leo, you have the floor.
Hi, good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Abigail Liu from the Central Statistical Office of St. Lucia, and I am presenting on behalf of my colleagues from the Sustainable Development Department. And right now, I would just like to present from the top.
Okay, we can see the presentation. Can you see it, Abigail?
Yes, I can. Thank you. So we're going to focus on the national policies and plans where environment, climate change, and disaster statistics and indicators are required. Continue. Next slide.
La siguiente, por favor, Johnny.
Thank you. Next slide, Siemens climate change policy framework. So we're going to focus on next slide. Thank you.
La siguiente.
Yes, so these are the international and regional frameworks we are committed to. Like the others mentioned, these are what we are guided by. The UNFCCC in 1993, the Kyoto Protocol and Doha Amendment in 2003 and 2018, the Paris Agreement, and some of the regional frameworks of recently, implementation plan for Caricom regional framework for achieving development resilient to climate change, the St. George's Declaration 2040, and the regional agreement on access to information, public participation, and justice in environmental matters in Latin America and the Caribbean. Next slide. And our national frameworks, we are guided by the National Environment Policy. It provides a broad framework for environmental management in St. Lucia and establishes links with policies and programs in all relevant sectors, of our economic and social development. We also have the NEMS, the National Environmental Management Strategy, aims to provide the specific directions and mechanisms for more effective policy implementation and include specific results expected and actions necessary to realize the policy objectives. We also have the Siemens Climate Change Adaptation Policy in 2050, and recently, last year during the COVID-19 global pandemic, we were able to update our NEP in a participatory, cross-sectoral, and robust manner, building on sound inventories, data, and ongoing processes. We really wanted to increase in ambition and mitigation adaptation, the loss, and focus on the decisions to improve St. Lucia's commitments and environmental implications. And just to mention the others, the National Adaptation Plan, the 10-year period, we well, basically like the others, we did a priority of cross-sectoral and sectoral adaptation measures for 8 key sectors. To name a few: tourism, water, agriculture, fisheries, infrastructure, and spatial planning, the national resource management, education and health. And in these, we focus on them to improve them. And a lot of the Siemens' overarching NEPs were supplemented by several documents and for the whole process that we did. Continue, next slide.
Siguiente.
And yes, the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, the medium-term development strategy, sectoral adaptation strategy and action plans, the coordination on national climate change committee. Next slide, please.
Siguiente.
Yes, so monitoring and evaluation plan of Siemens' national adaptation planning process. It is expected that aside from the annual monitoring and evaluation of the NEP progress, the NEPs and the SASAPs will be reviewed overall at least once during the 10-year period. Ideally, 2 reviews should occur in 2021 at the end of the period prescribed for initiating the implementation of short-term activities, and in 2024 at the end of the medium-term. Next slide.
Siguiente, por favor.
And yeah, these are some indicators for the M&Es, the monitoring and evaluation of the national adaptation plans, which is, I know you cannot see, so I'll just read it out for you. And some of the questions we focus on: were you involved in the formulation or implementation of the SASAPs for your sector or area? Has yearly SASAP monitoring and evaluation reporting been conducted? If not, please explain why? Other questions like, what is the total number of sectoral adaptation measures initiated between the 10-year period? And other questions that would guide us for the monitoring and evaluation of these NEPs. Next slide, please.
Siguiente.
Yes, some indicators for the M&Es. Were you involved in the formulation and implementation of the NEPs between the 10-year period? Has yearly NEP monitoring and evaluation been conducted specific to your sector? These are the questions we ask to the monitor, and we are guided by them. Next slide, please. Yes. So myself, at least I could speak on this one. CSO, we were involved in the National Environmental Information System, where it is basically a project design for the MEAs, the multilateral environmental agreements, where many stakeholders were able to upload documents to the CDSF, as you could see, the Common Data Storage Facility. We were able to edit them, upload them, review them, and students can go on to the NEIS and create reports for the frameworks. So that's, and most of the data is reliable, it's accessible, it's consistent, and it is reviewed. So next slide.
Siguiente.
And yes, and the data and the SDG reporting, the high-level political forum on sustainable development, voluntary national reviews are focused on these 4 SDGs. The 12, responsible consumption and production for the SCP. 13, climate change, we are focused on the climate change, the UNFCCC. 14, the life below water, the oceans, and the life. That's it. Thank you very much. Next, please.
Siguiente.
Yes, so this is it for Siemens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Abigail. We are very happy to have you today. The 6th presentation is implementation of a resilience database for the Caribbean. Mr. Francisco Javier, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. I will ask John if you can put my presentation.
John, por favor.
For reasons of time, I will be very brief. And next one, please. Next one, the siguiente. Yes, resilience can be understood as the ability of a system exposed to hazard to resist, absorb, or adapt to the effects of a hazard in a timely and efficient manner. This includes the bounce back of the original structures and functions. Next one, please. According to the UK's Department for International Development, a resilient framework includes 4 elements, as you can see in the slide. The last one, the 4th one, is the reaction to disturbance. In this element, the access to statistical and geospatial data information is essential, and that's what this presentation is all about. Next one, please. Let's review what is happening in the region. The data from the International Disaster Database shows that in the last 4 decades, the number of disasters has increased significantly, standing out those of hydrometeorological origin. Next one, please. Data and information related to disasters are produced by national statistical offices, national mapping agencies, civil protection agencies, natural resources ministries, as we saw in the previous 3 presentations. But also international organizations make available that information. This slide try to shows the main the wide range of data and information that is available. You can see the global set of climate change and indicators, Google Earth Engine, breeded population of the world, the MDAT, the Global Disaster Alerting Coordination System, CEPAL-STAT, and NASA Earth data. Next one, please. In a particular example, I mean the NASA's Earth observation data. That includes event-specific products, near real-time products, story maps, radar satellite images, vector data, gridded data, and georeference socioeconomic data. For the Caribbean, the products that are available is shown in the list in the left side of this slide. Next one, please. Well, in the Caribbean, activities related to measuring environmental climate change and disaster indicators, we want to take advantage not only of the project outcomes, but the available information. How? Through a database that can be analyzed and displayed through a geographical platform, as you can see in the slide. That database or that platform can address the country needs in first step and the international commitments that all the countries have, but can be used the idea is that this platform can be used in the whole region. We will start to develop this platform as soon as we advance in the national workshops with the countries. The last one, please. I will share with you three conclusions. There is a growing evidence of the intensity and frequency of climate-related extreme events. Disasters must be seen through the reducing risk and building resilience rather than just a response to a disaster event. And the resilience database for the Caribbean supposed to be, or will intend to be, a tool for the incorporation of disaster risk reduction and resilience into development activities of the countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Johnny, por favor, coloca como panelista a la señora Jennifer Guarding, que tiene la mano levantada. I was asking to our IT team that please change the role of one of our attendee that has one question and comments. Please, Jennifer, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me, Alda?
Yes, very much.
Okay, so first of all, I would really like to commend all of the panelists in the side event. I think that this is a very important area of work. And as I said, I commend all of the incredible initiatives that are going on, all of the important work. Having said that, there's definitely a lot of challenges that still need to be overcome with regards to articulating between environment, climate change, and disaster risk reduction. And I think that we're seeing that, and we're seeing a lot of efforts to overcome that. With regards to data, in terms of the sources, I would like to mention that in addition to MDAT, which is a global database with a threshold, so that means that only events that meet that threshold are included. There are additional databases that are available that do not have that type of threshold, but still capture disaster-related events. So for example, slow onset events that don't necessarily have a number of deaths or people affected, but accumulatively, we're seeing that the impacts of those events are very much factors that can actually overcome the events that are more localized, more captured within these databases such as MDAT. So I would encourage the use of additional databases for this type of information. I'd also like to mention that the Sendai Framework Monitor is available to countries for monitoring and reporting on the indicators that were defined by countries for specifically the implementation of Sendai Framework. Those include 11 indicators of the SDGs that are related to disasters. And countries in the Caribbean are advancing to different levels, but in the use of this tool and in the reporting on disaster-related indicators. So for example, Antigua and Barbudas, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Jamaica, countries are really making use of this tool to track their progress in these indicators. So I would encourage the articulation. And this is precisely one of the challenges, is not only technical, but also institutional. How do we coordinate between the NEMOs in the Caribbean that are overseeing the disaster risk management portfolio with national statistics offices and others? Within that system, there is also a space for countries to track their own nationally defined targets and indicators. So the climate change and environment indicators that we're hearing about, all this great work, those could be inserted within the system and reported by the country to the Sendai framework. So I did want to mention that. And I know I don't want to take up too much of the time. I know that that's quite an issue, but the working group on disaster-related statistics within the Statistics Conference of the Americas was created at the end of 2017. We've now had 2 biannual cycles of work of products. This working group is led by a technical secretariat of the Statistics Division of ECLAC and UNDRR, which I represent, the Office of the United Nations for Disaster Risk Reduction. To date, we actually have not had the participation of Caricom member states in this working group. And therefore, I would highly encourage and motivate you to join this working group so that we can continue this important work in articulating between climate change, between environment and disaster-related statistics. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. We have the time is up, so we need to close up. I would like to thank all the panelists for joining us in the session. Your contribution has been very relevant for this meeting. So we appreciate very much your time and your effort to be here. Also, if you have any questions or comments, we will appreciate if you send it to our email, statambiental@eclac, the one that you received in your calendar appointment. If you have any issue, any comments related to this event, we will appreciate if you please send it to us by that way, because we cannot take more comments for now. For conclude, let me please now go for a final in quickly words that we envisioned an opportunity to all Caribbean producers and users, stakeholders, to actively start to disseminate and to work and produce all the information related to the environment, climate change, and the disasters indicators. The measurements is the key of the policy decision making. Thank you very much for all of you for attention, for being with us. And I think that we are closing now. So have a very nice day and a very nice week. Have a very nice day. Bye-bye. Take care, all of you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
We will send the presentation. No worries.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you all.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you.